So Eric Mangini said, I'm not a tinfoil hat guy. I'm a saran wrap guy because I don't think it was as nice as all the press releases and the Instagram. Sam Farmer, it's hard to keep track of all the stories he breaks. He was front and center on this with Bruce Arians. So let's start with this. I don't think Brady shoved anybody out. Arians is 69. He was moving quick. But there's been a little turbulence in this relationship, Tom and Bruce. That's fair, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And I think Bruce will tell you that there's turbulence in every relationship with quarterbacks, his quarterbacks over the years, whether it was Peyton or Ben or Tim Couch or Luck or Brady. He cusses the guy out. He's an emotional guy, and there's going to be friction there. So that's not a surprise.
Did Bruce become more disposable when Leftwich and Brady started really clicking personally and professionally?
That's interesting. Yeah, I think, Bruce wanted that. He brought Byron Leftwich up. He really helped create his coaching career. And sure, a guy becomes more expendable. And, when you've got that going, you also have Clyde Christensen there. Great offensive guy, great quarterbacks guy. So that's a steady hand. So that's a lot of cooks in that kitchen.
Well, listen, we have every single NFC playoff team last year had an offensive coach. I mean, we have a cultural change. It's like the three-point shot in the NBA. You can't have two guys on the floor that can't shoot. Bowles is a pretty conservative defensive guy. I'm interested in his style. Can he pivot? Do you think it's an interesting choice with Tom?
Yeah, I think Todd would tell you that, he was conservative with the Jets, largely because of the quarterbacks he had. You can't play that way with Todd. He's really the anti-Bruce Arians in a lot of ways. So it's a funny pairing that these guys are lifelong friends. It's the odd couple because, Bruce is the no risk it, no biscuit, fast and loose, put it all on the line. And Todd is very conservative, quiet, not a great quote, really good guy, but different than Bruce. He's going to have to coach different with Todd.
Yes.
And with Tom Brady, rather. But Tom's had the defensive coach. He's had great success with the defensive coach. And I think as long as Todd isn't, it's going to be the same Leftwich combination that we referenced earlier.
Tom loves that.
Yeah. So I think they're in good shape. And really, Bruce has long talked quietly about Todd getting a head coaching job. Really love to have Todd coaching. This is not a last second thought, spur of the moment thing. Bruce has always wanted Todd to be a head coach again.
Yeah, they're very close friends.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We were just talking about this earlier. Matt Stafford got what he wanted. Aaron got what he wanted. Russell got what he wanted. Brady gets what he wanted. Deshaun got what he wanted with 21 civil suits. The world's changed. Dak got what he wanted. Kyler's going to get what he wanted. All these quarterbacks, some with legal issues, some with ego issues, some with inexperience injury issues. The league's changed. This is not the way it was.
This has been percolating for a few years. This is the age of player empowerment. We've talked about it before. It didn't just crop up this year, but it's been the last few years we've seen players getting more and more leverage and exercising that. And that's why I think we've had such a crazy offseason. A lot of that is player empowerment. And the fact that, a team like the Rams has done so well in mortgaging its future and giving away draft picks for players who can get it done right now.
Have you ever covered anything like the Rams, the culture, the empowerment? I said the other day, it's a rehab center. If your image is taking a beating, Dante Fowler, come here, we'll clean it up, you'll be good, go get money. Von Miller, you're old, you're injured. Come here, star, go get your money. It's a rehab center without the,
I've covered that, but I've actually covered the reverse car wash of the Raiders.
Exactly.
Which, in the 90s.
But the Rams are a very unique culture.
That was a unique culture. But this to me feels like the 94 Niners, what the Rams were able to do in the buy now, the Carmen policy, early part of the salary cap when it was all those sort of buy now, pay later contracts, and they created this all-star team. Couldn't hold the team for very long, but they rolled the Chargers in the Super Bowl and it'll be interesting to see how long the Rams can hold this thing together. But yeah, that is true. That one of the real challenges of repeating as Super Bowl champions is everybody wants to get their money after they've got the iron has never been hotter for every person on that team.
Explain. Joy and I are flummoxed by this. So you gave all those picks for Trey Lance, and you didn't steal Jimmy Garoppolo, but that used car was a heck of a ride. You got a Super Bowl, 33 wins, division titles. You hit a home run. There's no reason to get a great pick on Jimmy. You kind of stole him for a second-round pick, but he's expensive. Why don't they just get the cap space, let him go? Because is Trey Lance a concern now, Sam?
Well, you don't know what you have in Trey Lance. And so they need to know what they have, and they moved heaven and earth to get into position to get Trey Lance. And I think you got to let it ride now. And there's a market for quarterbacks still. Carolina, what are they going to do? We hear about all these teams that need quarterbacks. I think you have to let Jimmy go.
That's what we think.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I need him. He didn't play college the last year. He just hasn't taken snaps.
Yeah.
I just want to see him live bullets. Let's go. Let's get him out here.
Right.
I watched him last year. We both watched him. I said, I don't love his windup. It's clunky, and you got to refine it. But it is interesting with the Niners, Sam. It's not it's not a quarterback dependent franchise. Like Arizona with Kyler, he struggles, they struggle. You didn't ask Garoppolo to do a ton.
Right. And weirdly, because it's a quarterback city, if there ever was one, the guys who poured the foundation in Joe and Steve. But yes, I think you can win other ways in that Shanahan offense, and they can figure out ways to make that work. But I think you have to trust with what your gut feeling was from the start with Trey Lance and let it ride.
You have covered this league for so long. We talked about the downside in baseball to the analytics is that there's no cat and mouse on the bases anymore. Strikeout, home run. There's less activity. I don't think it's good for the sport as a consumer. NBA, you can't have a back to the basket big. There is no Kareem. I mean, if you're a 7-footer, I got to face the basket. It's all threes. Yeah. So there's layering. The mid-range game, which I loved, has been reduced. In the NFL, I could argue analytics is good for the sport. Fewer huddles, go for it on fourth down, less punting, more aggressive. I do think this is a little bit of a concern. The league is now so pro-offense. It's becoming a league you can have and have-nots. If you don't have a good quarterback, last year, the best quarterback won every division. Well, the problem with that, you're becoming college football. I can write who's going to win the divisions. Mm-hmm. Do you think, what is your take on the league has become so, we don't want to become Canadian football, do we?
No, and that's a really interesting point you bring up because one of the most attractive things about the NFL is the competitive balance and the fact that you could, as a fan, feel like your team could win the Super Bowl in a year. Now it's about 10 teams, and
it really
you have to have the quarterback. That's why Denver, George Payton went out and got Russell Wilson. It's now he has one. He now has a quarterback, so he's in the mix. And if you don't have one, you're dead in the water.
I mean, we did this the other day. I can tell you who's going to finish fourth in almost every division.
Right.
I mean, if you have the fourth best quarterback, it's over.
And the league does not want that. That's been the hallmark of the NFL, is that anybody could, think about, all those years you had a different NFC team in the championship game, or all the variety that you had, and you don't want to become too predictable, and that's a bad road to go down.
Circle back to Tom Brady. Trying to predict when Brady's going to retire is a fool's errand. It does not. I'll tell you, this move, though, I don't know. It doesn't feel one and done to me. This feels like a substantial franchise move for everybody.
Yeah, and him retiring when he was in the MVP conversation, This is a guy who picked up velocity when he came to the
He did.
Buccaneers. Yeah. Whereas we saw the end of Peyton's career, we saw the end of Drew Brees' career.
He lost the fastball a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. They found new ways, as Peyton would say, had to find new ways to make par. With Brady, it hasn't been that way, and he's a freak, and it doesn't feel like one and done if you can stay healthy.
Yeah. Sam Farmer, LA Times, covering this league as we put on the screen for 25 years. Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Dick McCann Award winner. It's great to see him again. Hour 2 is done. Hour 3 is around the corner. Live in Los Angeles with Joy, it's The Herd. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.